dead kid.
What's good, YouTube? It's Stan the Man, aka 12 Gauge 365 here, and I'm back at y'all with another one, man. So we are in the month of December, so I'm gonna be doing a 25 days of Christmas movie review. So every day I'm gonna try to drop a movie review, a Christmas movie review at that. Now the inspiration came from wanting to do a horror movie review for the 31 days of Halloween. I wanted to do horror movie review for every day for the month of October, but with me having a newborn daughter and my oldest getting ready to turn 2, I just didn't really have the time to get around to it. So now that stuff's kind of starting to slow down a little bit for me, so I'm gonna definitely try to get these Christmas movie reviews off. And just basically, just the main thing is just to try to stay consistent, with posting every day. So yeah, man, let's just go ahead and get into it. So like I said, I do want to do a 25-day movie review. Now today is December 4th, 2026. So what I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to drop 4 movie reviews today, but I'm going to do it in 2 different videos. So yeah, so this first movie review, we're going to do my first 2 movies for day 1 and day 2, and it's none other than Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2. These are the first 2 movies that I've watched. These are the first 2 Christmas movies that I've watched, and the first 2 movies that I remember growing up as a kid. And I'm pretty sure that everybody can kind of pretty much understand the premise of what's going on in these 2 movies. But yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and hop into it. So right off the bat, Home Alone 1, it was released in 1990, 2 years before I was born. So yeah, that lets you know how old that lets you know how old I am, and lets you know how old this movie is. But yeah, it's definitely one of the more classical Christmas films, and I think it was rated as one of the greatest films of all time, if not the greatest Christmas film of all time. But let's just go ahead and get into it. So obviously we know Macaulay Culkin is the star of the show. And he plays 8-year-old Kevin McAllister. Now, the family is getting ready. So the family is getting ready to have a Christmas vacation in Paris, and basically he's the youngest. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he's the youngest out of like a plethora of siblings. So obviously, you know how that goes, like the order of hierarchy when you have siblings and stuff like that. So you're always gonna feel like you're getting left out. So that's basically what was going on in the beginning of this movie, man. Kevin just not really feeling like the family is rocking with him that much. So he basically just kind of storms off. He acts out and he says, "Hey man, I wish I could just spend Christmas by myself. I wish y'all family." He said he wishes his family would just disappear. So his mom makes him sleep in the attic as punishment for acting out and just causing ruckus throughout the house. And what ends up happening is during that night there's a power outage, and it pretty much causes everybody to oversleep. So the morning they're supposed to get up and leave for the airport, everybody's rushing, scrambling, trying to get everything ready to go. And once they get to the airport, they realize that Kevin is left home alone. So hence the title of the movie. So yeah, Kevin wakes up. He's kind of happy because he's got the house to himself, and he's like, okay, well, my wish came true. So it just kind of chronicles his journey from there. Obviously, there's 2 thieves that are walking around in the neighborhood. That's Harry and Marv. They call themselves the Wet Bandits. So basically what they do is that they, around this time of year, around Christmas time, they just go and they burglarize homes and steal stuff. So they end up running up on Kevin, and Kevin kind of, he kind of convinces him that he's not home alone. But once they kind of realize that, yeah, like, this kid's left at home by himself, then that's when they started devising a plan to rob the house. And Kevin overhears this at some point in the movie. So, he kind of goes and, it just kind of chronicles him, like I said, being home alone. And, basically once he realizes that that's what they're planning on doing, he kind of goes into his Batman prep mode and booby traps the whole house. And then following. We get some of the best scenes that we've ever seen in a Christmas movie, and we see these guys just completely struggling to try to get to him. And like I said, he's booby trapped the whole house, man. So yeah, it's definitely one of those movies to where, where as a kid, me personally, like I always wish that I was as smart as Kevin. Like I wish that I could like kind of booby trap stuff up, and I believe a lot of pranks got pulled on siblings after this movie. So yeah, it's one of the greatest Christmas movies of all time. I can't really say too much about it. I can't say enough about it. Like I said, man, for me growing up and just kind of seeing him, and he was kind of like a childhood icon for most of the kids. I don't really want to say icon a lot, but he was kind of like a childhood figure for all of us as kids. So, yeah, man, I feel like Kevin McAllister is one of the he's one of the smartest characters that ever been displayed on screen, even though he's only 8 years old. There's actually kind of a running joke to say that there was kind of a vote that they was taking, like, who would win in the battle with prep time, Kevin or Batman. You know what I'm saying? So that's just kind of that just kind of goes to show you how intuitive and how and his engineering ability to just kind of make a house a freaking booby trap for like two grown ass men that's trying to rob the house. So yeah, man, it's definitely one of the best movies that you can watch in the Christmas season. So definitely, like, I suggest everybody to kind of just what I'm saying, grab the family, grab the kids, get your popcorn, eggnog, hot chocolate, whatever y'all like to drink during these Christmas holidays, man, and go ahead and warm your hearts up with a good Christmas movie, man. So yeah, man, it's just a quick wrap up of Home Alone 1. Now moving on to Home Alone 2, kind of like, obviously, it kind of follows the same template, the same process, but except for this time Kevin is 10 years old now, and the families, instead of going to Paris, they're actually planning a Christmas trip to Miami this time. So, and Kevin doesn't like this at all because he doesn't think Florida has anything to do with Christmas. There's no snow, there's no Christmas kind of feeling. The weather's not, it's just, I mean, it's Florida. Like, you don't really think of Christmas when you think of Florida. So Kevin doesn't like this, and during the Christmas pageant, him and his older brother Buzz, and you'll recognize Buzz from the first from the first movie, because he's definitely the textbook trademark big brother that's always screwing around with the little brother and stuff. So they're doing the Christmas pageant, and Buzz tries to humiliate him, and Kevin doesn't really like this, and they get into a shoving match, and they ended up ruining the whole event just from fighting. So it's a big choir pageant event, and they just ended up ruining the event. And being that Buzz, even though Buzz started it, everybody kind of puts the blame on Kevin as well. And so Kevin is really starting to feel like, man, y'all really don't rock with me for real. So so in the first movie, he wished that he could spend Home Alone. I mean, he wished that he could spend Christmas alone. So he kind of does the same thing in the second movie, but this time, instead of it being a power outage, Kevin's father, Peter, he ends up early in the day, he ends up accidentally resetting the alarm clock. So everybody oversleeps. And, that's kind of that's what starts the ruckus from this movie. Everybody's trying to pack up and get ready to go to the airport. Now, Kevin actually makes it to the airport this time. This time, they all get to the airport. But the problem is that Kevin ends up going to the wrong terminal, and he ends up boarding the wrong flight. So instead of going to Miami with the family, he's going to New York. So hence the title, Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Now, Kevin ends up running into this hotel. He ends up coming up on this hotel, and so luckily he has his dad's credit card. He has his dad's wallet and his credit card and stuff, and he's able to somehow check himself into a hotel. And then we get introduced to some more characters. So guys like Tim Curry, Rob Schneider, just a couple of new faces in the film. They really care. They're really good at carrying the movie along too as well. Like I think this is my first time seeing Tim Curry on film, and his freaking smile. He has a very, very very distinctive facial features. So when he smiles, like, you just really you'll recognize Tim Curry from a mile away, man. Like, he has one of the most sinister smiles, even though it's a family movie. He kind of scared me a little bit in that movie. So Kevin ends up making it to this plaza. I mean, not this plaza, but he ends up making it to this hotel, and he ends up checking in or whatnot. And so everybody realizes that, like, man, how did this kid get in here by himself or whatnot? So Kevin is under the guise that him and his dad are on a business trip or whatnot. So, but they don't see the dad yet. So eventually, stuff kind of catches up to him, and he ends up checking out of the hotel. He ends up just leaving the hotel because they're kind of closing in on him. They realize, like, hey man, you're just a kid running around with somebody's credit card. So yeah, so he ends up leaving the hotel, and in the midst of this, sometime in between then, we realize that Harry and Marv are actually in New York, and they ended up they end up like, hey, what are the chances of we finding this kid that screwed us over in the first film? And yeah, it kind of just goes kind of chronicles from there. So they're trying to chase him down, they're trying to get to him or whatnot. So he ends up stumbling upon his uncle's old townhouse. So there's an empty townhouse that's being renovated, and that's kind of like the main battlefield of what the second movie, it pretty much follows the same template. He booby traps the house. Harry and Marv are trying to get to him, and they end up falling into every dang trap that Kevin sets. And it kind of ends up wrapping up like how the first movie wraps up. But this time, Kevin's mom, Kate, she ends up making it to New York. And so the family is on the way too, but Kate is just like, screw this. I done left my son again. So she's, full fledged. She's leading the charge to try to go get her son back. So she actually ends up getting to New York before everybody else does. And yeah, man, the movie kind of, wraps up, and it's kind of like a lighthearted, warm, happy ending that, we all know and love from these Home Alone movies. And I really think that, obviously with this movie, they try to tell the story of Kevin and his chronicles to trying to grow up and, appreciating his family more. There's two central characters. There's two other characters in both of these movies that, kind of help Kevin, realize the error of his ways almost kind of, because, family is everything, you know what I'm saying? So in the first movie, you got old man Marley. Now they thought he was the neighbor, and they thought he was a freaking serial killer. So Kevin was kind of always scared to go around him. And in Home Alone 2, it's kind of the same thing with the old pigeon lady, the homeless woman. She's kind of scary, and Kevin kind of like, he's freaking scared of her. But these two characters are probably the best characters in the film, because these are two characters that have had, that have had some struggles, and obviously they're what they've gone through in their lives have turned them into hardened, scary looking figures in this film. But when Kevin actually sits down and talks to both of them, he kind of realizes that, like, I mean, hey man, people are people, you know what I'm saying? So like, just because they might look scary doesn't necessarily mean that they're out to do you any harm. So it's one of those things to where it's like, don't judge a book by its cover. So it's kind of one of those central ideas and kind of those central lessons that we try to learn as kids. And I really feel like most of these 90s kids movies and these 90s family movies, I really feel like the movies that go on today don't really try to sell, they don't really try to teach any kind of valuable life lessons. Like if there's a movie that's going to do something like that, it's going to be a full-fledged kids movie, not a movie that kind of blends in the different age groups and stuff that can watch it. So I really feel like Home Alone is one of those movies to where, like, yeah, adults can watch it, kids can watch it. Adults are going to get it for the entertainment, and kids are going to watch it for the entertainment, but they can also watch it and kind of take some life lessons from it as well. So yeah, man, like these are two of the first Christmas movies that I've seen. And like I said, these are two of my favorites. I can't wait till my kids are old enough to watch these films. There's definitely a lot more films on this list that I do want to show and I do want to review. So yeah, man, I feel like it's just a good time to, go ahead and just kind of roll out my Christmas films, man, the stuff that I got in my bag, man, especially since being married. I've gotten some movies that I've never seen before I've been married, and, seeing the movies that my wife likes to watch too as well. I cannot wait to get some of those movies off and review those as well. So just stay tuned, man. Just stay tuned. We got a lot more coming. And yeah, man, so this is day one of the 25 days of Christmas. So I will drop another video today and review two more movies. And hopefully after that, I can kind of just follow the same, drop one movie one day, try to follow that same template, man. So yeah, man. So I want to say it's been a pleasure being here with y'all, man. So as always, I want to end the video by saying stay blessed, stay safe, and always stay dangerous. Stay in the man, aka 12 Gauge 365, man. We will see y'all on the next one, man. Stay tuned.